Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to try to do a short yet informative video for you guys. And our subject today is there a difference between tension and suspense? You're watching a movie or reading a book, you're in the middle of a scene, you definitely feel the suspense and you definitely feel tense. So what's the difference between the two? Do they co-mingle? Are they just different varieties of the same emotion? The short answer is yes, there is a distinction to be made, and that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode of The Story Detective. I'm seeing more of you out there doing the Creators Matter tag and using the hashtag in your videos, even on Instagram and Twitter, and I think that's great. Let's move the Creators Matter forward. Let's try to make a difference in one another's lives and maybe find a better direction for creators no matter what they create. Before we get started, remember to subscribe, and at any time during this video that you feel inclined to, you can hit that thumbs up button. This could be an add-on to the video I did on scenes and navigating your characters through the different beats of a scene. I will link it down below. Suspense. We all have a vague idea of what suspense is. Suspense is when the reader who is invested in the character wants something to happen in that character's favor and it doesn't. Whenever you're feeling anxious or uncertainty about what's going to happen in the story, this by definition is suspense. Suspense, you don't actually have to see it happening on the screen. You just have a feeling that it might, or there's something that you feel is going to happen because the story is set up that way. Even if it hasn't happened yet, you're feeling suspense. Therefore, suspense is psychological. It doesn't need to play out before your eyes. It's the feeling of that uncertainty that creates suspense in your story. We know when we're watching a movie or reading a book when we feel there's suspense going on, and yet that suspense can come from a variety of different things. Suspense, from Saul Stein's definition, would be a feeling of anxious uncertainty. Now, in a romance, you could have the young couple who you want to see get together, and then the third person comes as the blocker and prevents that from happening. That creates suspense because the reader wants them to get together and then something happens that they don't. In Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, when Darcy and Lizzie aren't getting together, they like each other, but they don't want to like each other. They're creating problems for themselves as well as the other problems that's happening around them. All kinds of things get in the way. And Jane Austen was a master of doing that in her tales and keeping characters apart and creating those subtle little personal things that distracted, that they got in their own way. Will they or won't they is a prime example of creating suspense. It can be about those kinds of miscommunications. It can be about misdirection, mystery, or a thriller. It could be when the killer is about to strike and you want the victim to escape, but something happens and they don't. We hear a lot about creating scene level tension. Footnote, see conflict, because any conflict or drama happening physically in your scene is tension. Scene level tension. Now you can throw away the book. Tension defined as when events occur on stage that draw us in, and we are suddenly caught up in the character's immediate stress, anguish, conflict, pain. Alfred Hitchcock was considered to be a master of suspense. In the movie Psycho, when Janet Leigh gets in that shower and turning the water on, doing all the little ordinary things that she would do, that you're feeling the suspense before it happens because of that psychological factor. Now, when that dark figure with a knife appears when she's in the shower, then the story transitions and the scene transitions with it from suspense to tension. And here's the clue for tension. Tension is the physical reality. It's what's happening on screen, on stage. Suspense, psychological. Tension is the physical action. When the reader is caught up in what's happening physically to the character on the screen, then the onset of whatever that disaster or surprise is creates tension for the reader. This scene, it would be the shadow of Norman Bates dressed like his mother with a knife. And when we start actually seeing this scene occur, that's when tension happens. Tension is the physical action that's happening on stage in front of your eyes. This is what elevates and switches suspense into tension and separates and defines the two. So in conclusion, one is psychological, the other is physical. That's what defines the two. Now that you know the difference between suspense and tension, how does that change the dichotomy of your writing? How does that make you feel when you watch movies and think about those scenes and your psychology and your emotions coming into play? I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you've got something out of it. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time on the next episode of The Story Detective.